always follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Thursday edition of Follow the Money coming at you live from downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. Mitch and Paul continue their vacation. They will be back, though, on Monday. In for the two of them, myself, Stormy Boonantony, and Jonathan Von Tobel. Loaded show on tap today as the Mountain West Conference Media Days continue to be hosted here at Circa. We're going to have a handful of head coaches on the program in studio. Head coach of the two-time defending league champ, the Boise State Broncos, Spencer Danielson's coming up at the end of this hour. High expectations for Boise yet again this season. Then at 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern, UNLV's new head coach, Dan Mullen. 3:15, 6:15 Eastern, Bronco Mendenhall left New Mexico after 1 year to make his return to the Beehive State. Utah State's new head coach, he's going to join us as well. Also on the show today, Tanner Kern, DraftKings betting analyst and content creator, going to talk through some second half projections in MLB and his thoughts on the UFC 318 card that's coming up on Saturday. So lots that we're going to get into today.
You didn't even mention the Summer League.
That's next segment.
I'm just not to say there's a lot going on.
I must have buried the league.
No, I'm just strengthening the point that there is a lot going on, despite the fact that many would say that this is one of the most boring days in sports, that there is a lot of sports to discuss.
Summer League, and where we're going to kick things off here is getting into the Open Championship, which got underway late last night for those of us in North America. And we are currently in a 5-way tie at 4 under 67 for the Open Championship lead right now. Matt Fitzpatrick, Haotong Lee, Jacob Skov Olesen, Christian Bezaden-Hout, and Harris English all sitting at 4 under right now.
Yes, and as you were speaking, Rory McIlroy pars the final hole, so he will end his day at 1 under for this event so far. It's been a fun one. I've been watching quite a bit throughout the day. I think some of the takeaways so far is I kind of like this scoring pace, right? Like, you're not destroying the course. It seems still somewhat challenging. Some of these guys have, as I think you termed, been all over the place at some point, and others have been pretty consistent. Justin Rose, one of the 2, I believe, bogey-free rounds today. He is 2 under, so it has been a well-played first round. Weather hasn't seemed to be too impactful. There's been some noticeable rain, but nothing that I think has changed the way that this course is played. And outside of just one random round where you have, like you mentioned, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way tie so far for first-round leader, that could go down to 4 depending on what Harris English does. It's been a good first round.
Yeah, he's 4 under on 17 where things sit right now. The event favorite, Scotty Scheffler, shot a round 1 3 under 68 with his odds shortening from plus 450 at close to now live on DraftKings plus 225. Rory, who you mentioned, was a plus 750 second favorite. He was as high as 12 to 1 at one point live, and it seemed like a lot of people jumped in on that. He's back down to plus 750, 8 to 1 range. An okay start for my top 20 parlay. John Rahm at 1 under, Xander Schauffele even par. Both had a pair of bogeys on the back 9. Didn't love that when I thought things were going to be pretty good. Your outrights, Sepp Straka finished today 1 over. Robert McIntyre, so I was paying attention to him specifically for you.
Bobby Mac.
He was 3 under through 8 holes. Yeah. Dude was rolling, and then the back 9 did not treat him very well.
No, but I think that you're still, obviously, you're even right now through the tournament, or for the tournament and through the day. So at least it didn't completely fall apart. And that's the good thing for a guy like Robert McIntyre, who wasn't just me, but some others who found a very popular selection. Should also point out today, our guy, I'm going to say our guy, I'm going to throw this, I'm going to blame you as well. Our guy, Fairway Jesus, not so great so far today. Through 17, he is 2 over. I think he just wrapped up his round, and that's where he is ending. Tommy Fleetwood with the quintessential performance. We'll see if he can make a little bit of a late run to get up that leaderboard, tied for 74th right now.
Another guy who I don't know if he's actually our guy or if I've just forced him upon you a lot lately, but Shane Lowry also 1 under in that big T20 range right now. Why are you laughing?
I'm laughing because there was at one point earlier today, I don't know when it happened, but Lowry, he was, I think he got a birdie, or he probably did something positive. And I immediately thought of you, and I was like, damn it. Because first off, it wasn't anything but it was just like, he's not in my pool. I wanted to pick him, but he was selected right before me. So I am rooting, of course, against him very heavily. And
yeah, that's tough. Your rooting interests are not only your wagers this week, but the golf, like the Open Championship draft that you had going.
Yes. 2 different golf pools. So I'm like, I'm totally down and all over the place. But look, you can't lose you can't win the tournament on the first day. You can totally lose it. For example, Bryson DeChambeau, one of the big names today, did not perform particularly well. One of my draftees that everybody's totally going to know, Kevin Yu, was 8 over. But you can definitely put yourself behind the 8 ball. So we will see where these guys all end up. There's still plenty of golf left to be played.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll keep some tabs on it. If anything crazy happens here in the next little bit, we will make sure we let you know. We did have a handful of NFL news items, though, that dropped this morning and last night, starting in the AFC West, where Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice was officially sentenced to 5 years probation and 30 days of jail time that can be served over the course of those 5 years, stemming from his role in that multi-car crash last offseason. According to Adam Schefter, now that the judge has ruled, the NFL can now expedite its disciplinary process and give him a suspension, which who knows what that's going to be at this point. I think we have all come to know that when it comes to disciplinary issues from the NFL, they are all over the board. And sometimes something you think would warrant a massively long suspension doesn't necessarily get that, and vice versa. I've seen a lot of Chiefs beat reporters saying that they believe it to be maybe in the 2 to 4 game range. But I think people have just been waiting to see what this punishment would be. And at least now we know that that disciplinary action will be upcoming. Are we
sure that it's going to come down this year? Because that's the other part, right? Is we've seen guys like Alvin Kamara's whole deal out here that got dragged out for a while, and he didn't serve a suspension until a hot minute after the event took place.
At least from some of the different quotes I've seen, and some of these NFL insiders have been saying the league and the NFLPA and all that have just been waiting to see what the actual sentencing would be. So now the NFL has to make their decision on what that's going to be.
I mean, look, if you're somebody like me who believes that this could be, by their standards, a down year this year, then this is going to be something that obviously could affect them. We'll see, again, like you mentioned, what the length is going to be. 2 games sounds about right for something like this. Like you mentioned, the NFL has been all over the place with its sometimes heavy-handed and then sometimes light-handed punishments for different infractions. So you can only sit back and wait, but they obviously need Rice. He only played in those 4 games last year before the injury. He is going to help them be a more explosive offense. Wide receiver has been a position of tumult for this team for a very long time. So since trading at least Tyreek Hill, by the way, it hasn't bothered them because they have won these championships. But with an aging Travis Kelce, this obviously is going to reign, or it's going to be I'll say hang over this team is a better term until we get to know.
And that's what I was going to say is at least we have seen what this Chiefs offense looks like without him, because he wasn't available for so much of last season. The Chiefs are a minus 120 favorite in the AFC West this year after having won, 9 straight now in the division. So potentially, if you believe in the Kansas City Chiefs, could be a buy low. If you don't, who is that next team you think could be a contender? I am pro Chargers personally, but I know a lot of people are very high on the Denver Broncos this year. Also, your Colts got some news. Anthony Richardson reportedly healing up per ESPN. The Colts QB, who had that recent offseason setback with his right shoulder, should be good to go for training camp next week. Would you expect him, and I know we don't have any reports officially from the team yet, but would you expect him at least early on to be eased in, maybe on a pitch count at training camp or something like that?
I mean, potentially. I guess maybe a super bright red jersey, right? Don't touch this guy. Because I would expect that he's not going to take too many hits over the course of training camp, if any, by the time you get to the end of camp and into the regular season. So I think he's going to make it through training camp. Like I say that obviously with real trepidation, because the guy has shown that he can't stay healthy, at least in the early portions of his career. But it is very good news for them, because I've been pretty adamant. I don't think anybody's going to call me crazy on this. The Colts want him to win this job.
Yes.
There's no question about that. And so now, knowing that he's potentially going to be ready to go by the time training camp starts, that is only a positive, that their guy can then put his best foot forward and potentially win this. And I also keep saying, I was kind of pumping my fist yesterday. We were talking with Frank Schwab, because as we were talking about with him, this is a good Colts roster. And I very much push back on anybody who said that this dude never got any better. After he got benched, statistically, he made improvements across the board. So there's something to build on here if you're Richardson. The question just is, will you? That's really the question for them. But I think that this is a potentially big training camp, and I think this team can be kind of good if they get good quarterback play.
Missed 2 games with the benching, as you referenced, missed 4 more last season with 2 separate injuries, and of course had the season-ending AC joint injury that he needed surgery to repair at the end of 2023. So injuries have been an issue. Just number of games have been an issue, and that's dating back to college. We still haven't seen a full complement, like a full season of Anthony Richardson like you would want to at this level. And you mentioned the competition with Daniel Jones, who they bring in. they do that to push your guy, to motivate him. I'm not sure that that's the best way to motivate personally, but because of his injury history, I think you also have a little bit of a safety net with Daniel Jones if Anthony Richardson does win that job like they'd hope.
I also think it's just, hey, now you have a similar quarterback too. You bring in Joe Flacco last year, who I don't know about you guys, I think is slightly different in terms of the way he plays quarterback than Anthony Richardson, right? So now at the very least, given the way you've built your roster, which is kind of geared toward this dual threat at quarterback, that is going to be something where if he gets hurt or if he doesn't win the job, if he's awful, we have somebody whose skill set matches somewhat what we have drafted and built for and in our system can then continue to run our offense the way we want it to. To me, that's like the biggest deal. So outside of Flacco just being awful, the fact that you can actually continue to run your offense now too, I think is a really big deal.
The Texans, a plus 110 favorite in the AFC South. The Jacksonville Jaguars, plus 275. Your Colts sitting right there at plus 380. The Titans, plus 650. But I wonder if the Colts, maybe not a division winner, but could maybe leapfrog one of those teams for the second spot. Do you think that's realistic if Anthony Richardson stays healthy?
I think they can win the division, honestly. I just don't think it's going to happen. The roster itself is good enough to win the division. Like if I told you, if I plugged in even Trevor Lawrence or CJ Stroud to this team at quarterback, I think a lot of people look at Stormy. Their wide receiver core is deep. They drafted Tyler Warren at tight end. They have a good defensive line and a depth of talent. They bring in one of your guys, Charvarius Ward, in to play cornerback in a young cornerback room that's got some upside. It's a good roster. It's just whether or not this quarterback position is going to give them a chance to actually achieve those goals.
Okay. We are just getting started here on Follow the Money. When we come back, a little more NFL talk, and Summer League is underway. Apologies for burying the lead, but game 1 of 8 has begun. We'll give you some thoughts on the card that is coming up today. Don't go anywhere.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Follow the Money, Sirius XM Channel 158. Stormy Buonantony and Jonathan Von Tobel in for the guys as we welcome you back to the program. We're live in downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. Also going on here in Las Vegas, the NBA Summer League continues as we near the end of what you have been calling the Summer League regular season,
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, so what's the deal for today?
All right, so last day of the regular season, as we call it, they play, for those who don't know the format, I'm sure all of you do, you play 4 games. In totality, teams will play 5, but you play 4 games. That then establishes whether you make it to the playoffs or not. Then these other teams will be assigned a 5th game, which will then take course over the next few days and into the weekend. The seeding is going to be pretty fascinating here as we enter this little final block of games. We have, heading into tonight, and there's one game underway, but it's pretty much meaningless. Pistons and Heat are not going to make it into the Final Four. We have 3 teams that are 4-0, but none of them are locked into a spot mathematically at all. We have 5 teams that are 3-0. 2 of them are going to play one another. In theory, the 3 teams, Stormy, that are currently 4-0 and we'll put in quotes, could get knocked out if the other 3-0 teams all win by a wide enough margin to knock them out via point differential.
That's not frustrating at all.
No. So like, for example, I have 2 futures that are really alive. I have the Thunder, who are the 1 seed right now, and currently 4-0. There is a universe in which now it's highly unlikely, but there is a universe in which they get knocked all the way out if these 3-0 teams dominate their competition today. So we'll see if that happens. I don't think it is. Obviously, the other one is the Atlanta Hawks, who are in contest today too. So need the Hawks to win. Would like them to blow out the Memphis Grizzlies, who they play later today. They're about 6.5-point favorites. Mm-hmm. But really, this is now all what it's about. And I will say, I mentioned this in one of the articles that I wrote. I wrote a couple of them before the Summer League began. These teams you will see, because it's a competition format, you'll see them gun for point differential. You'll see them try to win these games to try to make it in. While in the grand scheme of things, a Summer League championship doesn't really mean anything. I think if you really ask any athlete in any form of competition, especially this where you're talking about journeyman, rookies, guys who are fighting for contracts, getting more stuff on tape, all of those sort of things really matter. So the more games you can play, the better. And if you're going to win something while you're at it, then that's going to be something that I think these guys have really much fought for. So these two games that are playing right now don't really matter too much. I will say we saw a really big move on the total, and we've seen some buyback for the game coming up here in 13 minutes. Indiana and New York, we've had a flip of favorites. Indy opened up as a 1.5-point favorite. New York now a 3.5-point favorite. Market has really turned on the Pacers since the second game when they got blown out by the Thunder. Market faded them in their third game, fading them again here. But the total got to as high as 192.5 before starting to get some buyback here. So now we're right back down to that 190.5 range. So there is a little bit of back and forth, but there is some support here on the New York Knicks in that regard. But the first one and the big one are those Hawks, 3:30 p.m. Pacific time, 6:30 for those on the East Coast. Hawks is 6.5-point favorite, totals 185. Currently on the outside looking in, if I remember correctly, for the standings, but only by point differential and the fact that they are just 3-0. Once they become 4-0, they can make their way in. But I need an ass kicking out there at UNLV on campus. Yes, we do. If you do, bagels for everybody. How about that? But very much looking forward to what that's going to be. But that's a big game, and that's one of the first that we're going to see here today. Haven't really seen too much of a line move. Half point in favor of the Grizzlies, but that's about it, depending on where you look for your opening numbers.
And one more just worth mentioning, because you brought up the 3-0 factor. The two teams that are facing each other in that 3-0 spot today are the Spurs and Hornets. Hornets laying 2.5, total 181.5.
Yeah, so the way it works right now, and so I have these standings now, Raptors, Spurs, Hawks, Clippers, Hornets are all the 3-0 teams. As you mentioned, we're going to see the Hornets play those Spurs. Right now, Charlotte is a 3-point favorite, total of 181.5. We have seen the Spurs, and this is part of the move as well that we've seen up to this point. The Spurs did announce that Dylan Harper is done for the Summer League, so he is not going to play here in this final game.
Just added to the list.
Yep. Well, I mean, it's the Summer League, so you don't want to risk your... Because I feel like you'd also be the person, if Dylan Harper went out there and blood is like, what are you playing in your meaningless games?
You can't win with me.
Yeah, no,
you
of
can't
course
win
not.
with me.
There's a lot of people who would be like that. So, like, there's a reason why it happens. I do find it interesting. Let me pull this up and get these updated odds. The Charlotte Hornets being favored in this game, and I get it. There's teams ahead of them in the pecking order. But the fact that Harper's not going to play, the Hornets are 3-0 and favored in this contest. There is a path for them to really stick it to the Spurs here and get in and get that spot. Problem is, if we believe this market's accurate, it would seem unlikely. Why? Toronto is a 9-point favorite over the Golden State Warriors later tonight. They are the team that's currently 3-0 and in control of the 4 seed. And the Clippers are 10.5-point favorites Sunday against the Denver Nuggets, and they are ahead of the Charlotte Hornets as well. So the Hornets not only need to win, but they need Toronto and the Clippers to lose later today, which that will come down to. And I would just like everybody else to lose so we can get Atlanta in. When has there ever been a time when you could say, from a futures perspective, you have 50% of the playoff field in your pocket?
Pretty nice. Caw-caw!
That's right.
Go Hawks.
Now, again, there's only 4 teams in the playoff field, so I would have 2 of the 4 if the Hawks can make it in.
Not too shabby. Okay, in addition to NBA Summer League, VSiN's football training camp week rolls on as well. And with that, our VSiN NFL betting guide officially out now. And for the first time ever, we're including fantasy football insights alongside our trusted betting content. That means in-depth previews of all 32 teams, season win total analysis, best bets from all of our VSiN show hosts and experts, player props, betting projections, and now strategies to help you dominate your fantasy draft. Right now, lock in on VSiN's football special for just $175. You get full VSiN Pro access through the Super Bowl. So that's not only the NFL betting guide, our college football betting guide will be out here soon. All of them leading up to the Super Bowl. Daily best bets, 24/7 video coverage, and so much more. The early bird pricing does end on July 31st. So get in there now, though. VSiN.com/subscribe. VSIN.com/subscribe. And with that, some more NFL news coming through over the last 24 hours. The Commanders are signing Von Miller to help out that pass rush. It's a 1-year deal, according to Adam Schefter, 8-time Pro Bowler, former Super Bowl MVP. Obviously, he is not that same guy that was running around in Super Bowl 50 causing mayhem, but in situational spots, key 3rd and 4th downs, especially like late in the season when you get to the playoffs, can be a beneficial factor, I think. I don't know if this moves the needle big picture, but I think it's more positive than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I would completely agree. Look, he has not played, to your point, he has not played over 400 snaps in the last 2 years. The last time he played over 500 snaps was 2021. It's been a really long time. However, if you look at it from like a PFF grading standpoint, every single season he's hit the field other than 2023 as a pass rusher, Stormy, he's graded at the very least 80 or higher, except for 2 seasons. So like this guy, if he's going to be out there in situations, is going to make an impact, even if it's minimal. So I'm with you. Like, look, sign him, use him in situational spots, save him for the postseason so you can get there. And if you have good edge talent, that's going to be, I mean, it's not the only reason the Philadelphia Eagles won, but you saw if you can dominate the line of scrimmage and just rush for 4, I mean, that helps you out in every single way, and it helps you win football games. And I'm totally down with a signing like this if you're going to do it.
Absolutely. My opinion on the Commanders as a whole. I think that they're maybe a little bit too overhyped in the market. That said, we have not seen a repeat winner in the NFC West in 20 years. And so
East or West?
Sorry, East.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously the NFC East. So we'll see how that shakes out if the Commanders can
we know how this is
bump
gonna
over.
go.
But I do want to let you know, we got some breaking news. Glad we shifted gears to the NFL.
Okay.
Because TJ Watt, we were wondering when the signing was going to come through.
I thought it wasn't going to happen.
They did it. The extension, a 3-year, $120 million extension in Pittsburgh, includes $108 fully guaranteed at signing. TJ Watt with this deal becomes the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. And that's kind of the way that this thing continues to be. The next guy up becomes the highest paid in league history. The $41 million per year on average is the highest of any non-quarterback. The deal has been worked out by CAA Sports and the Steelers front office, and it's been in the works for months.
I'm glad we know that one.
Yeah,
I mean,
very important details.
Yeah, too bad his secondary stinks. So,
ESPN's Adam Schefter, by the way, the first to announce the deal.
Yeah, look, I mean, I don't think there's anything that I can add to this that's going to be insightful. Though he's really good and he deserves a lot of money. The question just becomes, as I've mentioned, like I didn't really like the trade, Jalen Ramsey, Minkah Fitzpatrick. We'll see if that really helps the secondary. That, again, if you break down the granular stats from last year, was pretty average to below average. I know we think of the Steelers' defense as one of the best, and I think up front they're pretty good, especially with Watt. But I think if you really dig into it, you're looking at a team that has some trouble against some better passing offenses. And if that's going to be the case, again, and I think they got a little bit worse with the trade of Fitzpatrick for Jalen Ramsey, then I'm curious, again, big picture where this team's at. But Watt's awesome.
Well, potentially then, if this defense maybe isn't as good as they've been, because quite frankly, it's been the quarterback position that has held this team back, not the defense. But TJ Watt, Defensive Player of the Year, plus 950, fourth shot on the board. If he is maybe helping that unit exceed expectations, could that be worth a look?
Yeah, but he's always going
to put up the sack numbers, right?
Correct. He's always going to put up the sack numbers. He's always going to be in the mix. He's got the pedigree. Teams are going to be willing to do it. So I would say always, yes, he's always going to be there. And we've kind of made the rotation of the star defensive ends kind of getting theirs, right? Especially this whole Myles Garrett and TJ Watt dynamic. So who's, I guess, next in line for who's going to potentially win this award? As we've talked about, and we'll talk about awards, I think tomorrow too.
Yep.
I think there's a guy out here that might have a shot at being able to do it, and another star defensive end who can put up some splashy numbers. But either way, yes, he is going to always be in contention for that award as long as he's healthy.
The other names at the top of the board for Defensive Player of the Year, Aiden Hutchinson, your favorite, plus 650. He's also co-favorite for Comeback Player of the Year, by the way. Micah Parsons, plus 750. Myles Garrett, plus 850. And then TJ Watt there, plus 950 before we get to double digits and beyond. And yes, we are going to talk a little DPOY coming up tomorrow on Follow the Money. We're going to take another quick timeout here. When we come back, we're going to keep the NFL talk rolling. Do you approve this move? NFL season win totals that have shifted since the opening. Are we on board with the movement we've seen so far? Stay with us.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN. Odds move up, odds move down. Let's see where the odds are moving today in Do You Approve This Move?
Okay, Stormy Buonantony and Jonathan Von Tobel in for the guys today. We are the usual hosts of Follow the Money from 12 to 2 Eastern here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. And a segment we like to do every now and then is Do You Approve This Move? Today, we're looking at some NFL preseason win totals that have been on the move from opening. And we're going to find out if we're in agreement with the market here. Starting with the Buffalo Bills at the top, who have gone from 11.5 for their season wins to 12.5. You can still find 11.5s out there, but it is highly juiced toward the over. Bills coming off a 13-win season, an AFC title game. Josh Allen MVP. They're among the contenders again this year and have the 5th easiest strength of schedule in the NFL. Do you approve this move?
Yeah, it's hard not to. I mean, I think it ties into the AFC East price, which is There's not that many universes I can see in which this team, outside of Josh Allen getting injured, they don't win that division. And I think that leads to an inflated win total for this team. And when I say inflated, I mean like the actual wins that they get. I think it would be a shock if they didn't win 13-ish games. So I think it makes sense to bump this up from 11.5 to 12.5. And the same thing, we've steadily seen their price to win that division creep up. I think it should be even higher still. But either way, I think it makes a lot of sense.
It's crazy, too, for a division winner to come back and have a strength of schedule is what it is. But the other teams in the division aren't exactly on their level, I think is fair to say. They have gotten to double-digit wins in 6 straight seasons now, going over that 11.5 3 times. Those 3 times also going over the 12.5. So do with that what you will. I am not typically in the business of betting overs on this high of a number. I try to look elsewhere on the board. Let's go to the Cincinnati Bengals, whose win total has gone from 9.5 to 10.5. A 1-4 and 4-8 start for them last year really held them back. Did close the season on a 5-game win streak. Joe Burrow and his top targets are back. So we know the offense is going to be good. Is the defense enough to get them to double-digit wins and beyond?
I mean, I guess I thought 9.5 was right. So I guess that would be I don't approve this then, right? I mean, 10.5 probably seems like if you're at 9.5, I think it's priced right. If we're at 10.5, I'd rather go under. So I think maybe it's a little too much to push this over. Again, Trey Hendrickson and what's going to happen there. By the way, I mean, do we get some insight into that? Because TJ Watt just signed. Yeah. And so you're going to get an idea of maybe what he's looking for. And if this defense isn't really that much better than last year, I get today's NFL is offensive oriented, and I've discussed this with you where your defense generally is just as good as the offense it's going to face on a week-to-week basis. But if it's going to be abhorrent again, then you're talking about a team that's really going to be in a ton of coin flips. Can you bank on them to win 11 games?
And that's why the point that I've made with you when we've previewed the Bengals a couple of times here recently is that they played one of the easiest, if not the easiest, schedule of opposing offenses because of certain injuries that they were facing at quarterbacks last year. Now you're actually facing a pretty difficult schedule when it comes to the opposing offenses. So I'm not a big fan. And just because you did mention the TJ Watt signing, for anyone who missed it last segment, some breaking news. 3 years, $123 million extension, 108 fully guaranteed, the highest paid non-quarterback in league history. Let's go to the Los Angeles Rams. Double-digit wins in an NFC West title last season. Even had a chance to reach the NFC title game. Stafford is back. They bring in Devontae Adams to play opposite Puka Nacua. A lot of really good young talent on the defensive side of the ball. They moved from 9.5 to 10.5.
I think I can get behind this a little bit. I think that there's maybe a small. This is totally unscientific. I can't really find anybody that doesn't like this Rams team, especially at this network. And I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing. I know the general consensus, if there's a lot of love for one side, then it's not necessarily a good thing. But I totally get it. I like Matthew Stafford. He's absolutely brilliant. Maybe a little undervalued when you talk about the way the league execs voted in that Fowler poll, right, that we had the other day. I can totally get behind this. I think the division's maybe a little bit harder. So is it more likely that potentially they get to like 10-ish wins and still can win the division? That's a reality. I also think they're a little top heavy. If you start to suffer a couple of injuries, especially on offense, I think you really maybe start to see this go. But I think if you're telling me they play, general 16, 17 games, I can understand why you bet this thing over. Yeah, and if the offensive line is good, which they should be this year, that's my priority with Matthew Stafford, who's an aging quarterback. And we know how the struggles they have had when they haven't had a good offensive line. So that's key for me as well. But they bring back a lot, and I think they should be pretty good this year. So yes, I approve of the move. Let's go to a team who has had their their win total move down. The Miami Dolphins from 8.5 down to 7.5 wins. This is a team that people think can continue to be on the decline. The health and longevity of their quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa and a head coach in Mike McDaniel, who's very much on the hot seat. I think this is a dark horse for fewest wins in the NFL, to be quite honest with you. I completely agree with this. If things fall apart, then I think it's going to fall apart hard. Again, your secondary looks absolutely abysmal on paper, especially at the cornerback position. Your defensive end group, Stormy, 2 of the guys are coming off of serious lower body injuries. If you look at them offensively, they seem fine, but the offensive line on paper, I think, looks average at best. And if Tua does what he does, which is miss time, we have seen it from him time and time again. You can't really, almost the Kawhi Leonard of the NFL, right? If you look at it for Tua Tagovailoa,
I like that.
He's failed to play more than 13 games of the regular season play more than 13 games of the regular season in 2014, and he's done it in 4 or 5 seasons. So, I don't understand why we would expect anything to be different. Why would you expect that Mike McDaniel would be able to figure out the backup position, because he has not been this entire time. I just don't think that this looks really good on paper, and I think this team could really take a big step back.
So we approve of the move in the win total, and because you bring up the fewest wins market, the Saints and the Browns are co-favorites for fewest wins at 4-1. You're getting a nice 20-1 price on the Dolphins if you think that ends up being their reality.
I mean, and I honestly think that the better play is the alternate win total under 6.5.
Sure,
because I think that's
I like that.
Right. You were sitting at 8.5. Obviously, some spots have moved to 7.5 now. You're getting the plus price at under 6.5, but I think there's more of a reality than not that we're talking about this team winning maybe 6 games, because not only do you think that they stink, what if the Patriots do take a step forward? What if they are much better? What if the Jets, because from at least roster perspective, power rating perspective, I'm higher on the Jets than some that I've talked to. What if the Jets are better? Then all of a sudden you're looking at this Dolphins team looking around and going, oh, wait, maybe we're actually the worst team in this division.
That was exactly how I was going to follow it up, especially if the division overall isn't as bad as you think and the Patriots and Jets take a step up in a positive direction. How about the Minnesota Vikings? Win total last year was 7.5. They went over it by week 10, had 14 wins last year. And it's interesting because the perception of that team with Kirk Cousins out and Sam Darnold in was that it wasn't going to be particularly good. Sam Darnold took advantage of all of those weapons around him. JJ McCarthy is going to have those weapons as well. But what do you think of him as quarterback and this team? Their win total up from 8.5 to 9.5. Do you approve the move?
I mean, I don't, but I don't disapprove it. I wash my hands of Minnesota. I don't have a good read. Because I thought Mike Palm, who was with us yesterday, brought up a really great point when we talked about them. Or maybe it was Frank Schwab. No, it's Frank Schwab, excuse me. And Schwab brought up, look, this was a 14-win team, a very good roster. And do we really think that J.J. McCarthy is that much worse than Sam Darnold? And I thought those were all really fair points. I have openly questioned whether or not J.J. McCarthy is going to be good. I had questions about that coming out of the draft. I still have those questions. But I think it's a fair ask to say, Kevin O'Connell did a lot with Sam Darnold. And I think that dude, he was doing a lot to hide those issues. I think there's a strong reality where, as strong as this roster is, you can mask whatever J.J. McCarthy is and still win 9 games. I think it's fair. So I understand it, but I have no strong read on Minnesota at all. And
the one thing I will say as well, Minnesota's schedule this year, 5th most difficult in the NFL. So keep that in part of your handicap as well. The Atlanta Falcons win total from 7.5 to 8.5. We know Kirk Cousins had the shoulder injury, that 4-game stretch that was really bad, ended up getting benched. So in steps Michael Penix Jr. He will be the guy to start this year. Atlanta playing in an NFC South gets the benefit of the 4th easiest schedule in football. After we just talked about the Vikings' very difficult one, can they take advantage? What do you think about their move here?
I get it. Obviously, if you're betting over 7.5, you just need to go 8-9, and you're in. I totally understand it. I think Penix looked pretty good in a short sample size, but that still is it. It's a short sample size. I like Bijan Robinson. I think he's got Offensive Player of the Year potential as well. I also think that we have said for a couple of years now, you just plug that quarterback in and this Falcons team is right there. I also think that we are underselling how good the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can be in that division, and I think that might be a problem for this team. And you and I are both very pro Carolina Panther. And what if we're right about Bryce Young taking a step forward and this team being much more adequate? If that's the case, then now that we've moved here, it's a little tough for you. So I think I approve going over 7.5, but now that we're here, I think you can't really do anything else with it.
We already mentioned what we think about the Patriots. Their win total did move up from 7.5 to 8.5. So let's jump ahead and hit one more with the Dallas Cowboys, also up from that 7.5 to 8.5. 7-10 last year led to the team moving on from Mike McCarthy. In steps Brian Schottenheimer, but a healthy Dak typically means a 10-win season. So what do you think?
Tell the people.
I'm very high on the Dallas Cowboys this year.
Follow the money moves. Money moves. We're a very pro Dallas Cowboys show.
We are. And Dallas, had 3 straight 12-win seasons, obviously, prior to last year, where they had a handful of notable injuries. Most importantly, Dak Prescott going down in week 9. But since Dak entered the league, ladies and gentlemen, in 2016, he has played at least 12 games in 7 of his 9 seasons. The Cowboys had 8+ wins in every one of those, averaging more than 10 wins per game in that time. So I like them over the 7.5, over the 8.5. If you can find some alts at plus money, I think that they could get back in double-digit win territory.
Hell yes.
Brother.
Yep, would completely agree with all of that. I think it's somewhat akin to what we talked about with the Jets, where, you've brought up the point. So many people thought with Aaron Rodgers, this was a playoff roster. Now all of a sudden we're kicking them out. Just because we have Schottenheimer here, we're forgetting that 2 years ago, Dak was second in MVP voting, and that this is, right, a roster with some pretty good talent at the skill position. So I'm with you.
We will have plenty more NFL talk throughout the course of the show, but when we come back, we're getting into a little college football. Mountain West Media Days being hosted here at Circa. We're going to have the head coach of the Boise State Broncos, Spencer Danielson, in studio with us to wrap up the hour next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Welcome back to Follow the Money, live from Circa Resort and Casino in downtown Las Vegas, Sirius XM channel 158. Stormy Buonantony and Jonathan Von Tobel with you as we reach day 2 of Mountain West Football Media Days hosted here at Circa. And with that, we have the good fortune of having a couple head coaches on the desk in studio with us. And we're starting this thing off with a bang. Head coach of the 2-time defending Mountain West champion Boise State Broncos, Spencer Danielson, with us here. And as of yesterday, with the Mountain West media poll coming out, favored to 3-peat. So that's got to be a nice feeling, Coach.
No, I appreciate it, guys. We're fired up. Thank you, Jesus, for another year to be able to compete. And I do say this, we've been picked to win it 18 years in a row. So we got to go earn the right to go do it again.
So we've talked about this. This is now old hat, but it is kind of funny. You're sitting in the middle of a casino and you're a college football coach. Yeah. The dynamic of how this has changed, and this relationship's become symbiotic now with Circa, but hanging out in Vegas, going to casinos for media days, got to be a little bit different as a football guy, right?
Yeah, very different. And Circa does a phenomenal job here. I mean, how they set it up for us, but yeah, it's a different deal now, man. We're pushing forward.
You mentioned right when you came in that even though this is like a long day for you, you still love it because you love talking about your team. Yeah. What makes this group special?
I think year in and year out, every year's a new year, every year's a new team. And especially in college football now more than ever with transfer portal and people leaving, graduating. So every year's a new team. But just seeing the group of guys this offseason, the work they put in, the love they have for each other. Like, we define love as action and sacrifice. Seeing our guys sacrifice for each other, how they connect with the freshmen, guys that are struggling. We had 2 of our players here yesterday, Jaden Virgin Morgan and Cage Casey. Guys that have come as freshmen, got beat up as red shirts, and kept growing, kept being a part of our family. That's different. And I really want to focus on making sure our program transforms people's lives and isn't just about the transactional side of college football where I'm going to go play there. If it's not for me, I'm going to leave. Like, college football has become very transactional. I really believe we have a team that focuses on transformation, and that starts with the connection of our players.
All right, so speaking of change, one of the big changes, he is now about, southeast from here, a couple of minutes. Ashton Genty is a Las Vegas Raider.
I've been trying to get him back, man. I think he's happy with the silver and black. So
it's pretty fitting. So I wanted to ask you, obviously, walk us through what the backfield looks like now. And from what you ask of these guys, are you going to ask the same thing of them as you did from Genty, who is a very big workhorse guy? How do you change that dynamic when when a player like that leaves a program?
For us, it's not so much replacing Ashton Genty. We're a team. And when you lose the best football player in the country, you've got to have answers. And right now we got a great group of guys in the running back room. I think Maddox Madsen coming back off the campaign he had, there's going to be a lot more critical moments where the ball is going to be in his hand just because of how he stepped up. But Sire Gaines is a young sophomore, really redshirt freshman who got hurt game 3 that I think could be one of the better running backs we've ever had at Boise State. Wired the right way. On Sunday, I'm driving home from a vacation with our family, and I FaceTime him, and he's out on the field sweating his tail off. I'm like, it's Sunday, bro. Like, give yourself a breather. But that's just who he is. Loves his teammate, works his tail off. Malik Sherrod's a transfer running back. Came in the spring, had a great spring. Breezy Dubar, Dylan Riley, 2 really good players that have been there. So we've got a good stable. I mean, running backs at Boise State, that's kind of like what we do and run the football. And so guys are going to step up. But it's a team game. We got to play really well on special teams, offense, and defense to get back to the championship.
Before we move too far off of Ashton Genty, I got to ask, especially coming here with the Raiders and knowing who's taking over in Vegas, that they love to run the football. What are the Raiders getting in Ashton, and what do you anticipate him bringing to the team?
Yeah, when he got drafted to the Raiders, I was blessed to be able to go out there and be with him in Green Bay when he was drafted. I just believe it's a perfect fit. I mean, their GM, Spytek, does a phenomenal job. He knows exactly what he's getting in Ashton. I believe he's going to get someone that impacts their culture even more than they think. Because he's a better person than he is even a football player. And I think he's one of the best football players in the world. I'm not even talking college football. I'm talking NFL too. So they're going to get a guy that not only works his tail off in everything he does, he's going to push that culture forward for the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, I believe he's going to be the offensive rookie of the year.
What should our expectations be for Madsen this year?
He's an elite competitor. Yeah. I mean, never too high, never too low. He's that guy that no matter what he's doing, he's going to try and kill you to win. Like, that's who he is. And he's been counted out his entire life. Now he's stepping into being the guy, right? Preseason player of the year. But he's got that hunter mentality where he's always on edge. There's something to prove. And this is his team now. I told him that in the offseason, like, go take the reins and let's go, brother. Like, let's go take off running. And he's done that. How he works, how he cares about his team, how he builds into people. I think he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks around.
I mean, I could say that too. I remember the Mountain West Championship game. There was quite a dime that guy threw.
Back corner in the end zone of Latrell Caples. One of the best throws I've ever seen in person.
I went to UNLV, so I remember it fondly.
You're cheering for us? Yeah.
Well, with that, though, like, what is the next step in the evolution of Maddox Magazine for you?
Yeah. The biggest thing for me with Maddox is him stepping up in his leadership. He's got all the tools. He can make every throw. He's extremely consistent. I mean, we were one of the top offenses in the country in regards to takeaways and sacks, which are huge stats in regards to being efficient offensively. That's because of Maddox, right? He gets the ball out on time. He doesn't make bad decisions. He keeps on schedule. That's elite. And now there's things that, just like anything, him growing in as a football player, as a quarterback, that he's going to do in his time. But just now it's no longer Ashton's team. It's no longer Ahmed Hosseini's team or some of these players that have been here. It's your team now, man. But don't change who you are. You don't need to put a Superman cape on and, all right, listen to me, like Braveheart speech. Be you. Be you, but just know that your whole team respects you and you've earned that right. And I believe he's going to, like I said, be one of the better quarterbacks around. He can make the throws. He can make the throws in the critical moments. He makes great decisions. He's never a guy that goes out on a game day, especially a quarterback, where the pressure starts getting to him, he starts freaking out. He's always right here. And that keeps our team focused and level-headed, even in the biggest moments.
All right, so big guys, we don't really talk about them a lot. What's this offensive line now look like for you here?
Yeah, we have 4 returning starters on offensive line. Cage Casey was down here yesterday. And just to speak about him, I mean, a young man that came to us as a freshman, was probably 6'5", maybe he says 275. I'd say probably more like 260. And now he's 6'6", 315. We got, like I said, the 4 returning starters we got. That's the mentality of our teams, our O and D line. I mean, if you're not good up front, you're not going to win a championship, period, end of story. And that's what we believe we develop really well are the trenches. Our O&D line, Cage Casey, Mason Randolph, Roger Carrion are 3 of our pillars of our offensive line. Flipping the defensive line, Jaden Virgin Morgan, 10.5 sacks. And even more impressive if you watch games are the amount of pursuit plays he has because he's got that relentless mentality. Braxton Feely. Max Steege is stepping into a role because of Ahmed Hosseini leaving in a major way. So we believe in our fronts. I mean, I believe in our skilled players too, but to win championship games, you have to run the football and you have to stop the run. Period. End of story.
Head coach of the Boise State Broncos, Spencer Danielson, joining us here in studio at Circa Resort and Casino as Mountain West Media Days rolls on. Cage, by the way, I heard him on the desk say about you and your culture, that guy asked me to jump off a cliff. I would do it just because I know he wants nothing but the best for me, so it wouldn't be about outcome. And I think that says a lot about you and what you're trying to shape at Boise State. You mentioned expectations earlier. How much do you at Boise State enjoy that? Because year after year, you guys have those every year. And then last season, you go to the first time we have that 12-team college football playoff, you're there. Does that make you guys better having that threshold that you know when you show up on another team's schedule that you're getting the other team's best because of what you built?
Absolutely. I mean, that's Boise State. We talk about that all the time. We could watch an opponent and maybe they are not playing well or there's not a lot of fans there. That won't be the same team we show up with. Guys get automatically healthy when they play Boise State. The fans show up when they play Boise State. We get everybody's best. And you got to know that when you come to work at Boise State or play. That's why, I mean, Boise State, the success we have, this is built on years and years of coaches and players that had that blue collar mentality when they were counted out and proved everybody wrong. And so that's what it is. You got to embrace it. I mean, we're 27 consecutive years of winning seasons, lead the country in that stat. So just going to a bowl game for Bronco Nation, that ain't good enough. And if you don't like that, I told you, don't come here. Don't work here. That's the expectation of Boise State is every year you're on the cutting edge to win a championship, to go to the college football playoff. And as a competitor, I love it. Absolutely love it. Wouldn't want it any other way.
How much does that help in this day and age, keeping guys around too?
Absolutely. Where every year you feel like we've got an opportunity to do something great. No different last season, no different this year. And that's my push to our team this year. That's why this summer, we called this summer the edge. That's something to prove, to where everyone talks about last season. It's like, no, this is our season right now. Like, we're on that edge. You have something to prove. I have something to prove. You can't start halfway up the mountain, man. You got to start at the bottom and take one step at a time to achieve anything you want in football, anything you want in life. And that's really where we're at right now.
That's exciting. It seems like Boise State has been on the top of the league for a while, and you have plans to be there yet again. We appreciate you so much. What else do you have going on? Are we your last media stop, or how many more hours of this are upcoming?
I've got a great team that's pushing me around a lot right now, so I'm sure we're not done. But guys, I appreciate your guys' time, and this has been awesome.
Thank you for doing this.
Any good food?
I have eaten. What do we have? We had chicken fried steak for breakfast.
There you go.
Had chicken parmesan for lunch. I'm the only one eating desserts up there. Everybody else is like too cool for school, so I'm going to just keep crushing.
Might want to cool it on the breaded chicken. Huh?
But if the dessert tray is still like open, I might have to head up there because I eat candy and chocolate more than actual meals, unfortunately. Spencer Danielson, head coach of the Boise State Broncos. We're going to take a quick break. Back on Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, after this.